Tablet 10, The Key of Time. A subtle but interesting masculine personification is made for space. Thought, law, harmony, and order are attributed to the infinite brain. Freedom from the simulator is available by understanding the concept of time. We're reminded that once a phenomenon is understood, the mystery is no more. Understanding lifts the veil of the unknown. Thoth asks the dweller the question, "What is time?" He is told that prior to the creation of time, only a void existed, timeless, spaceless nothingness. Thoth is told that a purposeful thought vibration was used to fill the void. Next, the dweller is asked if the thought that entered the void was eternal. He is told the law of time had to be created so that a purposeful, creative thought sent into the void would also be eternal. It seems the creator of all is eternal, as are its thoughts. The time law was needed to have the intended infrastructure established in order that the infinite brain's creative thought could exist. Thus, the law of space pre-existed the law of time, which is manufactured as a thought construct, probably based on a large galactic wobble. Time is fixed and unchanging, being a force that distinguishes events. We are told that we move through time as our consciousness changes focus from one event to the other. Thought is responsible for the creation of time, and we are all from one source, even though events are distinguished, even by long periods or ages. Thoth gives a geometric discussion about how time exists in space, moving through strange angles during his oobs. It seems that the motion and path, linear, circular, one adopts during the oob can be intended such that the bounds of time are circumvented. Time travel, if you will. It appears that by traversing the path of the leg of a right triangle, the oob participant can leave the external construct, a thought construct, time, piggybacking on the fabric of space behind. Thoth performs this right-angle turn to the right after leaving his body, on a time journey back to man's creation event, stating, "Nothing is new." This may imply the concept Egyptians embrace concerning the science of continuous creation, see reference 24. We are told light is life, and nothing can exist without it, being a constituent component of all formed matter. There are properties of light which science is just now starting to figure out, as demonstrated in the field of quantum encryption keying, where the polarization state of paired photons is used to effect non-local transmission of a highly secure photonic key. During a visit to the halls of Amente, Thoth discloses that he was privy to an event involving the 7 cycle masters, who appear to be using sound vibrations to open a portal, circumventing the law of time, construct created by the creator of all. The group appears to be singing or chanting a song of the cycle, which opens the possibilities of time travel. How do events stay distinguished in this space dimension, one might query? Once time is overcome, events are essentially in a sequenced queue that can be accessed by a time traveler, moving his body through space and focusing the consciousness on a particular event in the queue. This seems to cause time travel to that event by affiliating the traveler's thought to the desired event. My understanding that is in order for the infinite brain to establish the law of time, a velocity constant, the speed of light, was used. Einstein agreed. Thus, the events can be ordered in the sequenced queue or construct using cyclical cosmic wobbles seen in galaxies and solar systems. The Great Year is such a wobble, lasting 25,920 years. Thoth states that words have the power to open the portal that bypasses the creator of all's law of time. We are given the word Zin-Uru, which we are told has its power in its sound. Putting the pieces together, this word could have been the song that opens the cycles that Thoth overheard from the masters of the 7 cycles in the halls of Amente. Thus, just saying the word may have little effect versus chanting in a special way. For instance, how long does one linger on each of the syllables? Is there a frequency sweep performed using the voice as done when chanting the Om mantra? Another fascinating part about this power word given to us is that the same name shows up on the prehistory of Nibiru genealogy table, where Zin.Uru is the half-sister who is married to N.Uru, the youngest son of On and Antu, who are the earliest progenitors in our prehistory of the Nuburian family tree. And Uru is therefore Anu's grandfather, and Zinuru is Anu's grandmother. Is this why the word has power? Invoking an ancestor's name that can open the portal to the space-time enabling time traveler? I find it interesting that it is a female name. See Figure 15 below. Figure 15, Zin.Uru genealogy table. Next, we are illuminated about the existence of a multidimensional reality, worlds within worlds. Now consider that the law of time were suddenly removed or shut off in a mind experiment, that the events that were separated by cosmic cycles would all become accessible to the pioneering time traveler. The secret to accessing events that are no longer separated by time is that they exist in the same space, separated by perceptual sensitivity tuning in the frequency of the desired dimension. This distinction ability has a direct measurable limitation. The minimum separation between events is established by a photon waveform spacing. In other words, how close can we stack wavelengths in a medium and still be able to distinguish one from the other? During my work at LightPoint Communications Incorporated, we worked with optical fibers and laser transceivers, which exposed me to the theoretical and practical concepts that we understand as photons. Placing an optical signal, a wave, into a small glass wire the size of a human hair, and smaller, is the petri dish, so to speak. Telecommunications companies like Qwest Communications invested heavily in fiber access for long-haul regional interconnectivity. How many wavelengths, each carrying 2.5 gigabits per second, bidirectionally, can a single-mode fiber, supporting carrier waves in the infrared spectrum at 1500 nanometers, can be stacked? Think of small spikes of energy vertically stacked side by side. How close can one signal be and not interfere with the adjacent light signal? This can be thought of as a measurement resolution issue or a physics problem. Light can cross paths with other light sources and they do not interfere. Shine two flashlight beams across one another and you will see there is no interference. This is true independent of the wavelength. So back to the question, how close can the independent wavelengths of light be separated and stuffed into an optical fiber, a dense, waveform distributed multimodal fiber? DWDM. This problem was being funded and commercialized by Optical Micro Machines, a company based in San Diego, California. Small electro-optically controlled mirrors were being used to multiplex optical data, carrier signals onto and off of a single-mode optical fiber cable. Thus, the MUX-DMUX problem, dealing with optical wavelengths, parallel light dimensions if you will, was being addressed to create a very fat pipe. More wavelengths equals more carrying capacity per fiber. The increased bandwidth focus was being done in anticipation of bandwidth hogging videos, MPEG-4, being accessed by internet users, opting to watch alternative independent news from a vlogger versus tuning in antiquated government-sponsored propaganda on TV. Figure 16 below depicts a dense waveform division multiplexing system indicating the C-band telecommunications fiber optical carrier, wave choice being 1550 nanometers. See Figure 16. DWDM wavelength system. The small vertical spikes at the bottom of the picture demonstrate the spacing options, dense waveforms and simpler systems like a single carrier. The advantage of a multi-carrier DWDM system is the data carrying capacity linearly increases with each added wavelength. Data carrying capacities are assigned to optical networks. OC48 indicating bidirectional optical carriers supporting 2.5 gigabits per second bidirectionally for a total of 5 gigabits per carrier. Compare that with what you get on your crappy cable modem at home. Perhaps a megabit per second throughput can be achieved in the middle of the night when no one else is on the network, except in India. My premise is that the spacing between the optical carriers, to the extent that it is not a measurement issue, establishes the spacing limits for the 9 dimensions focused by Thoth. These are the 9 parallel realities that are accessible by frequency wavelength, as the two parameters are simply related by the speed of light. My understanding is that the dimensional stacked events are coexistent, partitioned like musical notes. Let one of the parallel universes or events be E0, the lowest or fundamental dimension that will be initially used. Now let's squeeze another event, E1, in next to E0 at the desired spacing, not to exceed the minimal value established by photonic limits of interference. Repeat the process until we have a total of 9 events occupying the same space with some nominal but measurable distinctive spacing wavelength. There you will have a 9-dimension parallel event construct. Figure 17 shows the 13 segments of the chromatic scale. It is affiliated, and its affiliated musical scale. The overtones or octaves can be thought of as stacked spikes as we did with photons in the DWDM system, but use acoustic vibration frequencies as our references instead of a wavelength better suited to measure light. Frequency numbers are very large when derived from dividing the wavelength into the speed of light, and are usually given as a term for ease of reference. For example, microwaves and radio waves represent such categorization. Figure 17, 9 parallel dimensions and musical notes. Added dimensions are spaced by harmonic images of the same fundamental frequency, yet existing at different octaves. For example, one could have a fundamental frequency, termed drone frequency when playing a didgeridoo, of say note E0, having a frequency of 20.6 Hz and a wavelength of 1670 centimeters. This musical E note is in the first octave beginning with the subscript 0. Repeated images of this note occur like the decreasing amplitude of a sinusoidal wave. The next place in the spectrum where the energy of the note appears, the next harmonic, is E1, whose frequency is double that at 41.20 Hz, and affiliated wavelength derived using the scalar ratio of the speed of light is 790 centimeters. The third harmonic of the E note, E2, has a frequency of 82.41 Hz and a wavelength of 419 centimeters. We can continue this process noting the distance between the tonal E sub I notes is simply n times the fundamental frequency. This repeated note images in various harmonics or octaves in the musical scale can be continued indefinitely in theory. The reality is when a signal is created, its energy distribution and roll-off in the higher harmonics ends up being so small in amplitude that it cannot be measured with scientific instruments, but exists anyway. Figure 18, damped sinusoid and harmonic dimensions. This means there could be infinite dimensions, but according to both Thoth and modern string theory, there seem to be 9 dimensions or worlds within worlds, simultaneously accessible to the traveler, operating apart from the confines of the law of time. Coupling the 9 Mayan underworld frequencies that exist within the brainwave region for a human, and agreement showing 9 dimensions in string theory, along with this Emerald Tablet 10 taught by the Dweller to Thoth, there may be some merit to string theory now mirroring ancient wisdom handed down from Enki's Atlantis. The final correlation is that there were deemed 9 rows of the evolution of consciousness in the Mayan Tzolk'in calendar, and Dr. Carl Johann Kalaman, reference 25, cites the 9 underworld Mayan frequencies that seem to coincide with the human brainwaves, segmented delta, theta, alpha, and beta, and ranging from about 0.5 Hz to 20 Hz in frequency. Within the logic of the Mayan long count, he says, an auspicious end would have to be on a day which is 13 Ahu in the Tzolk'in count. Since December 21, 2012 falls on 4 Ahu, this is an unlikely end date. The 28 October 2011 is a 13 Ahu date. Beginning with the Big Bang, he believes creation has continued through a series of waves, each one a factor of 20 times shorter in duration than the one preceding it. Each wave has driven the structure of the universe to a higher level. See Figure 19, Mayan Calendar of Consciousness. The first wave drove the creation of physical cellular matter, and the second level of consciousness in the table produced mammals. The first monkeys were established in the third segment, and in the fourth level we see the emergence of humans in tribal groups. During the fifth wave we see humans organized into regional groups, and then into national groups in the sixth. The seventh wave encompasses human awareness of the whole planet, and the eighth awareness of our place in the galactic structure. The final wave, the ninth and shortest of all, began 8 March 2011 and will complete along with all the others on 28 October 2011, at which time in awareness the whole of the cosmos is achieved by the primitive workers transformed by wisdom into gods. The importance of the telescoping scalar, 20, the factor of 20, is that in the final phase, the time between our thoughts and the manifestation of their physical reality happens very quickly, essentially within 20 days. So be very careful guarding your thoughts to direct them toward the light. You have become a hopefully conscious co-creator with the creator of all during this ascension window of opportunity. Okay, back to the tablet analysis since we have gotten pretty deep with the law of time. Next, Thoth discusses dressing himself in his magician magus outfit and opening a portal via ritual in an attempt to free Ereshigal, a lady of light held captive by the dark prince of Arulu. This maiden in distress turns out to be Nergal's wife, as shown in my genealogy table. Nergal had the title of the king of the netherworld as well as Metatron. Ereshigal, the wife of Nergal, son of Enlil and Ninlil, was given the title Queen of the Netherworld in Sumer. It is my understanding that Enki had a son with Ereshigal, Ningshita. Thus, if this is the same being whom Thoth saves in the tablet account, then he performed this act to save his mother. See figure 20 below, which depicts the relationships between the players. The fact that Ningshita is the captive's son provides the motivation behind the magus costume and the subsequent incantation to open the portal to space-time in an attempt to save her from some bad situation, which he achieved successfully. Interesting to see that a son of Enki married an offspring of Enlil, probably to mitigate family feuds. Figure 20, Ereshigal genealogy table. Thoth was a child of that union. Perhaps that is why Anu designated him to be the messenger of the gods. Listy, O man, take of my wisdom. Learn of his deep hidden mysteries of space. Learn of the thought that grew in the abyss, bringing order and harmony in space. Know ye, O man, that all exists, has being only because of the law. Know ye the law, and ye shall be free. Never be bound by the fetters of night. Far through strange spaces I have journeyed, into the depth of the abyss of time, until in the end all was revealed. Know ye that mystery is only mystery, when it is knowable unknown to man. When ye have plumbed the heart of all mystery, knowledge and wisdom will surely be thine. Seek ye and learn that time is the secret, whereby ye may be free of this space. Long have I sought wisdom, I, and shall seek of eternity's end. For know that ever before me receding shall move the goal I seek to attain. Even the lords of the cycles know that not yet have they reached the goal. For with all their wisdom they know that truth ever grows. Once in a past time I spoke to the dweller, asked of the mystery of time and space, asked him the question that surged in my being, saying, O Master, what is time? Then to me spoke he the Master, Know ye, O Thoth, in the beginning, there are void and nothingness, a timeless, spaceless nothingness, and into the nothingness came a thought, purposeful, all-pervading. And it filled the void. There existed no matter, only force, a movement, a vortex or vibration, or the purposeful thought that filled the void. And I questioned the Master, saying, Was this thought eternal? And answered me the dweller, saying, In the beginning there was eternal thought, and for thought to be eternal, time must exist. So into the all-pervading thought grew the law of time. Time which exists through all space, floating in a smooth, rhythmic movement that is eternally in a state of fixation. Time changes not, but all things change in time, for time is the force that holds events separate, each in its own proper place. Time is not in motion, but ye move through time, as your consciousness moves from one event to another. By time yet exist, all in all, in eternal one existence. Know ye that even though in the time ye are separate, yet still are one in all times existent. Ceased then the voice of the dweller, and departed I to ponder on time. For knew I that in these words lay wisdom, and a way to explore the mysteries of time. Oft did I ponder the words of the dweller, then sought I to solve the mystery of time. Found I that time moves through strange angles, yet only by curves could I hope to attain the key that would give me access to the time-space. Found I that only by moving upward, and yet again by moving to the right, could I be free from the time of the movement. Forth I came out of my body, moved in the movements that changed me in time. Strange were the sights I saw in my journeys, many the mysteries that opened to view. I saw man's beginning, learned from the past that nothing is new. Seek ye, O man, to learn the pathway that leads through the spaces that are formed forth in time. Forget not, O man, with all thy seeking. Search ye for the light on thy pathway, and ever for thee the goal shall endure. Let not thine heart turn ever to darkness. Light let shine, soul, be. A sun on the way. Know ye that eternal brightness, ye shall ever find thy soul hid in light. Never fettered by bondage or darkness, ever it shines forth a sun of the light. I know, though hidden in darkness, your soul, a spark of the true flame, exists. Be ye one with the greatest of all lights. Find at the source the end of thy goal. Light is life, for without the great light nothing can ever exist. Know ye that in all formed matter the heart of light always exists. I, even though bound in the darkness, inherit light always exists. Once I stood in the halls of Amente, and heard the voice of the lords of Amente, saying in tones that rang through the silence, words of power, mighty and potent. Chanted they the song of the cycles, the words that opened the path to beyond. I saw the great path opened, and looked for the instant into the beyond. Saw I the movements of the cycles, vast as the thought of the source could convey. Knew I then even infinity is moving on to some unthinkable end. Saw I that the cosmos is order, and part of a movement that extends to all space, a party of an order of orders, constantly moving in a harmony of space. Saw I the wheeling of cycles, like vast circles across the sky. Knew I then that all that has being is growing to meet yet another being, in a far-off grouping of space and time. Knew I then that in words are power to open the planes that are hidden from man. I, that even in words lies hidden the key that will open above and below. Hark ye now, man, this word I leave thee. Use it, and ye shall find power in its sound. Say ye the word Zin Uru, and power ye shall find. Ye understand that man is of light, and light is of man. List ye, O man, and hear a mystery, stranger than all that lies neath the sun. Know ye, O man, that all space is filled by worlds within worlds, aye, one within the other, yet separate by laws. Once in my search for deep-buried wisdom, I opened the door that bars them from man. Called I from the other planes of being one who was fairer than the daughters of men. I called her from out of the spaces to shine as a light in the world of men. Used I the drum of the serpent, wore I the robe of the purple and gold, placed on my head I the crown of silver, around me the circle of cinnabar shone. Raised I my arms and cried the invocation that opens the path to the plains beyond. Cries to the lords of the signs in their houses, lords of the two horizons, watcher of the treble gates. Stand ye one at the right and one at the left, as the star rises to his throne and rules over his sign. I, thou dark prince of Arulu, open the gates of the dim hidden land, and release her whom ye keep imprisoned. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, dark lords and shining ones, and by their secret names, names which I know and can pronounce, hear ye and obey my will. Lit I then with flame my circle, and called her in the space plains beyond, daughter of light, return from Arulu. 7 times have I passed through the fire. Food have I not eaten, water have I not drunk. I call thee from Arulu, from the realms of Agreshgal. I summon thee, Lady of Light. Then before me rose the dark figures, the figures of the lords of Arulu. Parted they before me, and forth came the Lady of Light. Free was she now from the lords of the night, free to live in the light of the earth's sun, free to live as a child of the light. Hear ye and listen, O my children. Magic is knowledge, and only is law. Be not afraid of the power within thee, for it follows law as the stars in the sky. Know ye that to be without knowledge, wisdom is magic and not of the law. But know ye that ever ye by your knowledge can approach closer to a place in the sun. List ye, my children, following my teaching, be ye ever seekers of light. Shine in the world of men all around thee, a light on the path that shall shine among men. Follow ye and learn of my magic. Know that all force is thine if thou wilt.
Fear not the path that lead thee to knowledge, but rather shun ye the dark road.
Light is thine, O man, for the taking. Cast off the fetters, and thou shalt be free. Know ye that thy soul is living in bondage, fettered by fears that hold ye in thrall. Open thine eyes, and see the great sunlight. Be not afraid, for all is thine own. Fear is the lord of the dark Arulu, to he who never faced the dark fear. I know that fear has existence, created by those who are bound by their fears. Shake off thy bondage, O children, and walk in the light of the glorious day. Never turn thy thoughts to the darkness, and surely ye shall be one with the light. Man is only what he believeth, a brother of darkness or a child of the light. Come through into the light, my children, walk in the pathway that leads to the sun. Hark ye now, and list to the wisdom. Use thou the word I have given unto thee. Use it, and surely thou shalt find power and wisdom, and light to walk in the way. Seek thee and find the key I have given, and ever shalt thou be a child of the light.